Hi, I'm Jesse Hilbert.
Hi, I'm Charlie Herbert.
And welcome
to Arnavon
Adventures.
Adventure.
This is Season 2, Episode
3.
The Queen of the North. Can you say it?
North.
The Queen of the North. Today's arthropod is one that can be found within the Arctic Circle itself, and one of the few insects that really thrives there and can tolerate and survive the cold. Isn't that right, Charlie?
Yeah.
Now, can you guess what it is?
Can you get to
Today's episode brings us to the world of the
Bumblebee.
Arctic bumblebee.
Arctic bumblebee.
Arctic. Say Arctic.
Arctic.
It's really cold there.
Okay.
Today's is a special episode for us, Charlie. We're creating this for your mom. What's her name?
Ashley.
Yeah, and it's for her first grade students at
John Trumbull.
John Trumbull. Say shout out to the Green Pod.
John Trumbull.
And the Green Pod. So you know Mama's students have been learning about habitats, Charlie?
Yes.
And they've been learning about the Arctic habitat. And our animal lives there this week.
Here.
So its scientific name is Bombus polaris. Can you try that?
Bombus polaris.
The first part of its name, its genus. Say genus.
Genus.
Bombus, it's originated from a French biologist. I'm going to mispronounce this because my French is not that good. Pierre André Latreille.
No.
Yeah, who assigned that name Bombus in 1802. That's over 100 years ago. It comes from the Latin word for buzzing or humming. You know, when I found out about that, I said, it makes sense because the bees buzz.
Bee. Buzz, buzz, buzz,
Buzz, buzz, buzz, buzz, buzz. And its second name, or species, Polaris, is translated from Latin and means polar star. And seeing as how this bumblebee is found in the Arctic, it's truly a fitting name. So Charlie, are you ready for this?
Yes.
The Arctic region is the northernmost part of our globe, and it comprises the northern parts of Alaska, Sweden, Russia, Norway, Greenland, and Canada. And it is here in these countries that we can find the Arctic bumblebee. Canada, yes.
We're going to Canada.
We are going to go in a couple of months.
Summer.
Yes. Now, Charlie, as we've talked about in this show before, and in arthropods in general, I don't really like to generalize things, but in particular, insects do not like cold weather, right?
They do not like cold weather because of the coldness.
Because of the coldness. But you see, it's because insects are poikilothermic. Say that one. Poikilothermic.
Poikilothermic.
That means that they are cold-blooded. And this is the reason you don't see snakes out in the cold either. And why you find snakes absorbing the sun's rays on hot days in the summer.
But some insects come out.
Yeah, when they get to the warmer months and even sometimes in winter, we do see them.
Yes.
Yeah. So, Charlie, I got a lot of this information for this podcast episode on the U.S. Forest Service. They had a great article about the Arctic bumblebee. The article was by Zoe Statman-Wheel and Vicky Wojcik. And I apologize if I mispronounce your names. But they did a wonderful job explaining how this Arctic bumblebee survives. You see, just like the snakes, the queen, you say queen?
Great.
She's the boss.
Boss.
Because girls rule the world, Charlie, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So, Charlie, from the queen to her workers, you'll be able to find these bumblebees basking in the sun to stay warm. You know, when I think of social insects like some species of bees or ants, I don't picture the queen ever leaving the protection of their home. But this was really cool fact to learn, and it's awesome that the queen is adventurous and goes out and does a lot more than just lay the eggs. And just like the snakes, and they use their ability to absorb heat from the rocks or the pavement, the Arctic bumblebee uses what it has at its disposal. Conical flower. Can you say conical?
Conical flower.
Yeah, and it just kind of means it's like a cup, and the Arctic bumblebee will fly into that little cup, and in this case, it really likes the Arctic poppy, which is a kind of flower.
Poppy.
Poppy, yeah. And it goes inside there, and it kind of just hangs out, and the poppy reflects the heat back onto the bee.
The bee.
The bee, right? And it nestles perfectly inside there, kind of like a little cuddle. Right? Now, yeah, bzzz. Yes, don't, he's not going to sting us. Bees don't sting people a lot, only if we bother them. Yes. Now, Flora or plants are not the only way this insect can stay warm, Charlie. So, Charlie, the bumblebee can also use itself to stay warm. It has large flight muscles that allow it to vibrate its body to increase its temperature. Can you vibrate?
Vibrate.
That means shake really fast. Go. This actually works for humans too. When you're cold, you do a lot of jumping jacks and stuff like that. It'll help keep you warm. Yeah. So this ability to use these large flight muscles allows its body temperature to reach degrees that are 60 degrees more than the air all around it. And while flying, these large flight muscles allow them to beat their wings around 200 times per second. Can you count to 1?
1.
That means the bee just flapped her wings 200 times. Is that impressive? Yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah, it is. Now, on top of that, it's a furry bee. It kind of has like this thick jacket on. And why do you think it has a jacket?
Because it's cold.
Because it's cold. And the thick fur on it kind of acts like the bumblebees that we have around here. They're cousins.
Yeah, and
it kind of acts like a blubber on a whale to keep them warm.
yeah, and we also have flies that sometimes
We do have flies. We're going to do an episode on flies later in a couple weeks.
on this next Saturday.
Yeah, maybe in 2 weeks. Now, Charlie, they vary in size depending on their place in the hive. The queen is the biggest. She's around 21 millimeters, which is just shy of an inch. And the worker bees, which again are females, Charlie, because who rules the world? Girls.
Girls.
That's the Beyonce song. Who runs the world?
Girls.
Who runs the world?
Girls.
There you go. Now, the worker bees, the female ones, they're only around half an inch in length. They're about 14 millimeters. And the males are a little bit bigger than that. They're called drones. Can you say drones?
Drones.
And their only job is to just make bees with another queen. Now, they kind of look like what we think about as a bumblebee or a bee.
Think about
Yeah, that's what we think about. So their thorax
thorax.
is black with yellowish edges, and their abdomen, which is the last section of their body,
Yeah.
is yellowish with a black tip. That means the very end is black.
Yeah.
Now, tell people always check out the show notes. Tell them.
Always check out the show notes.
There's great pictures there, right?
Great pictures, right?
Now, the temperatures of the Arctic don't allow for many insects to call this place home, especially when snow covers most of the ground during the year. Between the snow and the temperatures, most insects stay hidden and well into the warmer months. But due to this Arctic bumblebee's adaptations, the queen is able to come out when the snow begins to melt in May. Imagine having snow in May. You would like that. You like the snow.
Yeah.
The workers will join in a few weeks' time when they've hatched. So a queen will have mated before the winter started, and when she comes out in May, she's already pregnant. And it's her first duty to find food in the form of nectar, and at this point, she likes to go towards the Arctic willow. And when the weather starts getting warmer, the sun never goes away. It is light all the time in the summer in the Arctic. And this allows the queen to stay out for a very long time. It allows her to forage for a lot of food. Charlie? Char?
Yeah.
She doesn't have any time to waste because it's going to get cold again soon. So, her eggs have been developing in her thorax. Can you point to your belly? That's kind of like your thorax. And once she lays her eggs, and she keeps them there because it's warm, once she lays these eggs, she lays about 20 of them, and they hatch into sterile workers, meaning that they are girl bees that can't make their own babies. So, Charlie, they hatch in a few short days, and about a week and a half later, they are fully grown into adult form. So they've gone from being an egg, larva, pupa, adult. Say that. Egg. Say egg.
Egg.
Larva.
Larva.
Pupa.
Pupa.
Adult.
Adult.
Good. And now once they're ready and they're adults, their daily task is taking care of the hive and
The hive of the bees.
the hive of the bees. And you see the queen, like I said before, continues to go out harvest food with her workers. And then the queen has a second batch, or brood that they call them. And this one has drones, or those male bees. She will also lay up to 100 new queens. Now, most of these will die over the winter, when she will also die. But at least one of them will survive, and that allows a new hive to start when the new season begins. Now, Charlie, we might be talking about the Arctic, but there are still predators here that like to hurt these bees.
Why?
Because things like to eat other things. And bees may not be on the menu for a lot of creatures, but the Arctic does have some animals that love to predate on them. The buff-breasted sandpiper and the old squaw are just two of the birds I learned about that make a meal out of our featured Arctic bumblebee. One of the most fascinating attacks on the Arctic bumblebee comes from one of its own kind, the Arctic cuckoo. Can you say that?
Arctic cuckoo.
Yeah, it's another bumblebee whose scientific name is Bombus hyperboreus.
Bombus hyperboreus.
Yeah, that's a good one. And this insect will come into the nest and completely take it over, even making the old queen's worker bees take care of their eggs and then raise their babies. Isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
So ready, Char? The next time you're up in the Arctic Circle, or even looking at their more temperate cousins, our bumblebees down here, be sure to appreciate the furry nature of their bodies and all their glory. And remember that they are important pollinators, especially in the Arctic, where plants don't have much time. I hope you enjoyed today's episode. If you have an arthropod you would love to hear about, want to tell us what you think about the show, or found a mistake, please send us an email at arthropodadventurespodcast@gmail.com. Thank you for listening. Ready, Charlie, is our tagline. Stay inquisitive and never stop learning. Can you try that?
Yeah. Christmas never stop learning.
That's right. So, Charlie, the random fact for today is, do you know what color the sun is?
Yeah.
You think it's yellow? But do you know if you were in space, it's white?
Why?
Yeah, we just see it as yellow or orange or sometimes even purple when the sun's setting, just because of the way that light is coming through our atmosphere. Isn't that crazy?
That kind of purple?
You're that kind of purple. All right, so thanks for listening.
Thanks for listening.